Hello, everybody. What is up, DrawClass appreciators? Hello, welcome in. Welcome to DrawClass today. I hope you brought your frickin' pencils, your pencil case, your binder with the unicorn on it, your backpack, your other backpack. Just making sure everything's working here. Julia did. Julia always brings her backpack and her other backpack.
I have my pencil case.
Oh wow, you actually do have a pencil case.
Yeah, I do.
Got starfish on it.
It's got starfish. It was a gift from my grandma.
Hello, welcome. Hello specifically to Xandrew Bird and Javier and Lycan and Kylie S. And several other mystery viewers who have not appeared in chat. But that's okay. You're allowed to lurk even in a draw class. Dat Kotek, Tori Rex. Hello, hello. Thanks for being here. Alexandria, you're a mystery. It's true. Well, you were a mystery. Now you're a known quantity. Dat Kotek, you have draw class tier for one day. Did you just get like a commission or something and have realized that that also comes with additional perks? Well, if you only have draw class for one day, this is the one to be at. And Zappy's here. Hi, Zappy. Glad you could make it. Today in draw class, Lycan, it's your first live as well. Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for bumping up to the tier. Appreciate it. We're going to be going over today how to get over an art block. This was just a thought I had earlier this month. I was thinking of all the different ways you can end up in an art block, all the different reasons. And I wanted to come up with some solutions, some like exercises you can do for different types of art block you may be experiencing. So I got my canvas here, and we'll do a little go over it here at the beginning. What's it called when you're writing like a paper? The thesis statement. We're gonna do the thesis statement of the draw class right now. So I have come up with 5 reasons I think are probably the most common that people have art block. Art block reasons. Number 1. And I've personally experienced all of these, so I can speak from my own living experience. Number 1 is not just F, although you can do Fs in the chat to pay respects for all the art block havers. Number 1 is fear. Sometimes drawing and creating is just scary for some reason. It seems silly, but it's true. You kind of get in your head about it and you become like afraid to do anything for a variety of reasons. Number 2 is stagnation, which is not like a nation of stags, because that would be sick. It's when you feel like you've like plateaued and you're not getting any better, and you kind of are going around in circles doing the same thing over and over again, and you're getting disheartened because you're not seeing any improvement. Number 3 is feeling overwhelmed. I get this one a lot personally. And it's just when like I want to make some art, or I have some art I need to make, and I'm making the mistake of looking at like the full picture of what needs to be done, and it just seems like so much that it seems impossible to get from like the beginning of the process to the end, because you're already thinking about the end at the beginning and you start feeling overwhelmed and then you don't start. Number 4, burnout. You just done too much, you worked too hard for too long, and now the very idea of doing any drawing at all makes you want to throw up. I've definitely been there. And aside from, you know, taking a break, which you have to do sometimes, I've got something for that I think will be helpful as well. When you feel like you're ready to get back into it, but you've been experiencing the burnout for a while. Kat Kane said it's all so much, especially when there's several things I want to practice and improve on at the same time. Yeah, exactly. It can just be a lot. And the fifth one I have here is boredom. And it's just when drawing becomes like not fun anymore. Like you feel like you're just, I mean, obviously stuck in a rut. You have art block, but whatever you're doing is no longer exciting to you, but you're having a hard time breaking out of it. It's similar to stagnation, but for boredom, it's more just like maybe you're still drawing, you're still working, but you're just not excited about any of it. None of it is like thrilling you, and you're just sort of like going through the motions. So these are the 5 reasons that I've come up with for this class. And then for each one, I've come up with like a little art exercise we can do to hopefully help like break you out of them. Because I think a lot of the times when we're like stuck in an art block, it's because our freaking neurons or whatever in our brain have been like making the same connections over and over again, and it just gets tired, it gets stale. And you need something to like shake you up and like change something to like build new pathways in your freaking brain. You got to trick your own brain into having fun again. And as Zappy said, number 6, you're in the middle of the 2-week Minecraft phase and you can't draw because you want to game, hypothetically. I feel that one too. Sometimes I get like really into a game and then I'm just like thinking about how I want to be playing the game, and then I have a really hard time working. Sometimes I even have to not work and play the game first. I do everything backwards. I have to be like, I need to game now until I get tired of gaming so that then I can work. But you know, you got to do what you got to do. But we will start with the first one here, which is fear. If you feel like you have art block because you're feeling like afraid, typically you're feeling afraid to like mess up or make bad art or something you consider like stupid or embarrassing. And so you end up in this like negative spiral where you're like, maybe, you know, you don't want to do any work because you're worried about how it's going to come out. And I usually experience this one the most frequently right after I've done a piece that I really liked. Like if I had like something I considered really successful and I felt like I grew a lot making it and I was really happy with the result, it's always the next piece that I do. I'm like, what if I can never make something that good again? Like, what if that's the last and best thing that I ever make? And it was a fluke and I'll never achieve it again. Alexandria said, delete your art and then never make art again. Yeah, that's what we want to avoid, the never making art again part. So for this one, I've got a little activity we're going to do, and feel free to participate with all of these, you know, at home if you're in a place where you can draw, because they're going to be fun to do. So the cure for fear is, in my mind, you just have to make art that is bad intentionally. And so this challenge I'm calling the Bad Fan Art Challenge. And what we're going to do is take something that we are a fan of, that we want to make fan art for, and that removes the pressure of having to come up with something to draw, which can also be a stumbling block. And we're just going to do a bad job drawing it on purpose. The Sanic Challenge. Exactly. We're going to like make our own Sanic. If you haven't seen Sanic, let me drag Sanic in here. It doesn't want to, Sanic doesn't want to come. Here we go. There he is. We're going to be doing the equivalent of this for this challenge. So pick something like, you know, for yourself that you want to make fan art of. Should I post my Disco Elysium shitpost fan art in the Discord? Yes, you should. Because I think it's also good to make bad stuff and then also post it. I feel like my go-to when I want to do bad fan art is like Dragon Ball Z. So I'm going to do like a couple Dragon Ball Z characters. I definitely want to do Vegeta because Vegeta's just very inspiring to me. Every time I see him, I experience inspiration. And I think it's because of his forehead. Like, take a look at this man's forehead. The sheer, like, conviction and confidence you have to have in your art skills to draw a man with a forehead like this and be like, not only is this correct and I'm sticking with this, but everyone's going to think he's incredibly cool. And he's going to become like a favorite. But let's do some bad Vegeta fan art. I think that's what I want to start off with here. Figure out where I am at layer wise here. Is anything on this layer? No, it is empty. And so for this exercise, what I really want you to do is like, don't even think about it and don't worry about technique. Don't worry about like your line quality. Don't worry about anything. Literally just like start drawing, and you can start drawing from anywhere. I'm going to go like, let's go eyebrows. Don't erase anything. It's not worth the effort. And just do it. Just do it however you want. Let's give him a little nose, and we know he's going to have big forehead. Probably a second eyebrow. And I think part of this, what makes it so gratifying is that A, it doesn't matter what you do. And so you can't lose. There's no like losing condition here. And B, you end up kind of doing stuff you wouldn't normally do. Like this head shape is insane. I would not have done it like this if I were trying. And then I give him like a little mouth up there, and that's really funny. It kind of reminds you about like just like having a good time. Give him an ear. I kind of missed the ball. Missed the ball? I missed the ball on making him look angry, and he looks just sort of like depressed. This is depression. Depression Vegeta. And then he's got hair. My boy's got hair. Got a neck. Give him the old neck and pecs. Vegeta, I apologize for titting you up to this degree. It was not my intention, but I'm not going to change it, and that's the important thing. I'm committing to the titting of Vegeta. And if you're like afraid of drawing and then you do this, you'll be like, what am I afraid of? It's all just lines. It can't hurt me. Even if it looks like this, it can't hurt me. I can take this and I can frame it and put it on my wall, and no one can stop me, and it's not going to hurt me or anyone else. And I recommend like doing this fast. Like this is done. This is a bad fan art of Vegeta. I'm moving on to the next one. Let's do Krillin. Krillin is also inspiring to me. But specifically, this Krillin. This type of Krillin right here is the most inspiring Krillin. He lost his way as he went on in the series. He was completely perfect at inception. And then he lost his way. So let's do our own bad Krillin. I'm going to make my brush even bigger so I can't even do any like details. We're gonna get our version of this little baby Krillin. I love his smile. I think about his smile all the time. And I want him to be like up to something. He's got little cheek lines. And like this is already wrong. Like you can look at it and tell that it's wrong, but that doesn't matter. The side benefit of doing this is that you can do this, like let's say you like want to be working on a piece, but you're feeling afraid that it's gonna be bad, right? So you sit down, pull up a picture of Krillin, make the worst fan art you've ever seen. Guess what? In the process of doing that, you just warmed up. You just warmed up for making a real piece. And now you're already drawing and you've got your momentum going and you're going to be like, I kind of feel like I could do better than this. I kind of feel like if I tried, I could do better than this. Like, why did I make his forehead so small? That's his most predominant feature. But it doesn't matter. And then we can make him doing a little sneaky guy pose. This is just one of the ways you can fool yourself. You can trick yourself into being productive by being unproductive. What if he's just like completely nude? This is Krillin sneaking into Android 18's room before anyone knew they were dating. Doesn't want Goku to find out. So he's creeping in. Yeah, fig leaf. This is the peak male form. They don't want you to know this, but it's true. Yes, Krillin, yes! Perfect guy, perfect guy! Felicia says I'm trying to get used to using a tablet again, so mine is extra wiggly. This is a great exercise for that. Because you are getting used to using your tablet, but you're taking the pressure off the lines that are going to be wiggly for a while. It's a good way to like get your muscles and hand and arm used to it without the pressure. Let's do one more. Chat, who do you think? Who should we do for the third bad fan art? I know YouTube's on more of a delay, so it'll probably take you a second to tell me, but I want to take one of yours. SpongeBob. SpongeBob Frieza combination. Why not? Let no one tell you that you can't draw SpongeBob Frieza. I do love that it was all Dragon Ball characters, and then Xandru Burt was like SpongeBob, my favorite Dragon Ball. My favorite Dragon Ball Z character. And I want the little first form Frieza. This little rat bastard right here. Gotta be my favorite Frieza. Like and you did 3 Miyazaki derps. Totoro, Ponyo, and Gigi. I love that. That's a great idea. Okay, so obviously we start with a SpongeBob. And then we want like the brain. See, even I'm starting to undo. I don't want to be undoing. I have to resist the pressure to make a really good SpongeBob Frieza. This is for bad. This is for bad, it's not for good. And then you got the horns. And I mean, like I've just done here, try to like catch yourself out. If you find yourself starting to get precious, catch yourself out and stop. I want the SpongeBob nose. But I want Frieza's eyes. Frieza's beautiful eyes. And you'll notice too, I made this brush like too big and it's like splotching at the ends. That's good too. Like use a brush that you can't make that pretty to save you from spending too much time. Because this is not supposed to be time consuming. It's just supposed to be fun and fast and reminding you of why drawing is enjoyable to do. And that it's not supposed to be a task that is distressing. Don't be distressed. I think I do want to go with like the final form freezes, like the lips, the dark lipstick. Such a look. Frieza's kind of an icon. Oh, I think I want to do these too. I like these. It's a bit of a combination of Frieza's. Seems like the shapier characters make for the best for this exercise. Not even necessarily. Like you could do anything because it's supposed to be bad. So it doesn't matter. Like shapier characters are easier to draw. But I bet if you chose like a really human character, you could get some really bad results. Maybe I'll do one of those real quick after this. Legs, they just go all the way down. Then we'll get Spongy Bob's sleeves. And he's like, I'm ready to frickin' square up. I'm ready to beat Goku's ass in PvP. Put this in Fortnite. See, I honestly think this one actually came out a little too good. But this is also part of like the reason for this exercise is that like once you get going, you'll stop thinking about it so much and you'll just be involved in the art process. And then once you get involved in the art process, you've overcome the fear you had at the beginning. You've won at this point. Like, because I'm like already forgetting it's supposed to be bad and just having fun drawing it, I'm like, I'm the winner. I am the winner now. Let's do one more. Let's do like a human character. What's like a human character? Y'all know any human characters? I'm gonna do Gordon Ramsay.
That's just a man.
Gordon Ramsay's a human character. And we'll just do this one really fast. Fast, bad Gordon Ramsay. Gordon Ramsay has like a block head. And he's got ears. And then his hair is like this. He's got a nose for sure. And he's got like the Super Saiyan, like Goku Super Saiyan 3 eyebrows. And then he's got eyes and he's like, you donkey. Much like Shrek would say. And like, this isn't like right by any stretch of the imagination, but it doesn't have to be right. In fact, it shouldn't be right. He kind of looks like a priest that wants to beat your ass. Let's make this a chef's coat. Make him extra wide. And maybe he's got like a knife to threaten you with if you're being a donkey. Don't be a donkey in the kitchen. That's not where donkeys belong. And like the fun thing about this too is that like you'll end up, like I said, doing stuff you wouldn't normally do because you're going fast and you're not trying to be good. And so you'll like end up doing some things you kind of like. Like I kind of like this face, and I probably wouldn't have drawn it like this if I were actually trying. But because I wasn't trying, I got to do something different. And this is when you start like breaking the crust off of your neurons. I don't know how the brain works, but I know you got connections between your shit up there, and it gets crusty if you don't shake it up. Not physically. Okay, so this was the first one, the bad fan art that we do when we are afraid of drawing. So let's put all of this away, and also put that away. Just gonna put all that in a folder. And we're going to move on to number 2 here, which is stagnation. Stagnathan. If you feel like you have art block because you've been stagnant in your growth, like you're doing the same stuff all the time and you don't feel like you're making any progress or improving, but you're also having a hard time like breaking out of your comfort zone to try new things because that is difficult and scary. And so you feel like you're just sort of stuck. Like maybe you're still working regularly, but you just feel like you're kind of stuck. This is an exercise to get out of that. And it's also one of my favorite exercises to do when I'm just like practicing normally. And in my mind, I call this exercise like hiding the pill. Like when you have to give a pill to a dog, and you have to put it in like a little like pocket of meat to fool the dog. It's like you are the dog, and the pill is working on stuff you're not comfortable with. And we're going to put that pill inside of a sausage of familiarity where you'll feel comfortable because you're doing something you're comfortable with, but inside of it, there's a little bit of something new. And so, let me write this here. This exercise is called Hide the Pill from yourself. You are the dog. And the way this one works is you're going to pick something that you want to improve on or something that you're like unfamiliar with drawing. So like I'll go with like maybe like a car or something. Let's get a PT Cruiser up here.
PT Cruiser.
Julia just chimed in.
Sorry.
With PT Cruiser in a German accent. So if I get this PT Cruiser, which I've never drawn a PT Cruiser in my life. And so you might look at something like this that's complicated, like a car, and be like, this is too scary, this is too difficult. So what we're going to do is we're going to not try to copy this PT Cruiser exactly and replicate it. Instead, we are going to hide the learning inside of the sausage of our own sort of like art style and the way we like to draw. So I'm not going to try to replicate this PT Cruiser, and I don't care if I'm right or accurate. What I'm going to do instead is attempt to take this PT Cruiser and draw it in whatever way I can think of that would make it fun for me to do it. For me, that's always like, you know, exaggeration and making things like more shapy and stuff. So we're just gonna like get into it. I'm gonna like focus on the shapes here. And I always like, as I always say, the big like Toriyama cars that are all like in crazy proportions. So I'm gonna get like a big tall version of it. And obviously I'm not going for accuracy here. But I want it, the goal that I want is for it to be identifiable as a PT Cruiser without me having to actually learn how to draw a PT Cruiser. If that makes any sense at all. And I know it does make sense. I make lots of sense. PT Cruisers kind of have these little like little faces. This kind of looks like a beetle right now. But this is like part of what we're learning as well. It's like as we do this, we'll figure out what things make this identifiable as what it is, what things you need, what things you don't need. And here's the thing, ultimately, like at the end of this exercise, whether or not, obviously I want it to look like a PT Cruiser. If it doesn't look like a PT Cruiser, I don't really care. Because the point of it is to break you out of your stagnation. It's to make your brain form new pathways and to make you like do something, anything that is different than what you're accustomed to doing. And so like, if you tried and you did something that was different than you were used to doing, then it's a win. You've gained something from this, whether you succeed or fail. So we're just gonna keep trucking on it here. We got this like front thing. The hood that like weirdly the line just goes like all the way around the car. I knew a dude in high school that had one of these, and everybody thought these were like so ugly, and they are. But I thought that dude was cool, and so the fact that he had one made me think that the car was also cool. And then they got like this like grill thing, which I feel like is a hallmark of the vehicle. So I'd love to hear in chat, if any of you are doing this exercise, what you have decided to try and interpret in this way. Like, what was your PT Cruiser? I think too, like the eyes of the PT Cruiser are the window to its soul. That's what really makes it look like what it is. Then of course it's got the little wings and things here, which I don't really care about making too terribly good. We need a little bit more room down here. Lycan said, I usually draw animals or fan art creatures and I'm attempting a person's face. It's looking pretty bad. That's totally fine. As long as you're doing it in a way where you're trying to like apply something you're already good at to doing it. Like try to draw it in your style. Don't try to replicate the face. That can mean like making it a little more, you know, animal-y if animal faces are what you're accustomed to. Like I often, when I draw animal faces, make them a little more human-y because that's what I'm accustomed to. And that's what makes it fun for me to do. And ultimately, if you can find a way to make whatever you're doing fun for you to do, then you're more likely to keep doing it. I want the wheels to be smaller. I want it to look like it's like a little fun little toy. My Akira Toriyama Cruiser. And I'm not going to have as many windows because I didn't make my car long enough for that. And that's fine. This is my car. I'm designing it. Try to get some shading in here. In the wheel wells. Zappy said my PT Cruiser is this exact PT Cruiser. You have a PT Cruiser, Zappy? You're cruising? You cruising hard or hardly cruising? And then Javier said, I'm doing kind of the opposite subject that I enjoy, but trying to do it more shapy and base forms. That's totally a good way to do it too. You can do this in the inverse fashion. Take something you're really comfortable with drawing and then try to do it in a different way. The real key to the exercise is that one half of it is something you already enjoy and the other half of it is something that you don't enjoy. And you're putting them together. A spoonful of sugar makes the medicine go down situation type beat. Oh, you don't own a car, Zappy? You're painting it? You're painting this PT Cruiser? Are we both doing PT Cruisers? This is huge for us. This kind of goes all the way around. We probably want... Oh, it actually goes all the way back here. What a weird car, man. But hey, I'm not judging.
I am.
Oh, Julia's judging. Julia's very judgmental of PT Cruisers.
PT Cruiser.
Why are you saying it like that?
I don't know, my brother and I started saying that when we were teens. Every time we saw a PT Cruiser, it was like our version of a punch buggy.
I see.
Every time we saw a PT Cruiser, one of us just go, PT Cruiser.
PT Cruiser.
And the other one go, yeah, PT Cruiser.
I like that. I like to imagine that that's what they do in Germany also.
Yeah. And it would make us laugh like every single time. So I still do it.
Random cue to anyone. What are the considerations for doing chat overlay on these class streams? Since they're mostly solo, I wonder if they'd feel less solipsistic. Whoa, solipsistic.
Solipsistic.
Hot damn, we got words in the chat.
I'm gonna turn on these lights for you.
Oh yeah, thank you. Ah.
How about that?
Typically we don't do chat overlay because a lot of people find it like really distracting. I tried it one time on Secret Sleepover, and I also probably did it in a way that was too distracting, but the general consensus was...
Too much.
It's just too much visual information on the screen. Also, I think that a lot of people... The chat in like DrawClass moves really slow too, so maybe that would make it better, but also it might make it even less necessary to be on screen. Because there's just, you know, very few people in the stream for these, since it's at a higher tier. But I appreciate all the people who are here, that's for sure.
Yeah, thank you.
And frankly, I really personally don't mind solo streaming. I find it kind of relaxing. I can just sit here and draw and yap. And I don't have to like worry about entertaining anyone else except for you all, obviously. But I don't have to entertain like another person. I just have to do what I'm doing. I'm pretty happy with this PT. What am I missing? Anything? Kind of like a fun cartoony version of it. Let's get the wheel in here. Maybe I'll like draw a little driver. Because I also find that if I'm drawing, I love drawing people and characters the most, obviously. And so I find that if I have to draw anything that is not those things, if I give myself the little treat of knowing that I get to add in a little character, it makes me happier. And that's the whole goal here. We just want to have a nice time drawing. We want it to be fun. We want it to be stress-free so that we can get in the right headspace to actually want to work on the things we want to work on. So I think I'm gonna go like a little old lady mode. Little old lady driving a car. Also, a nice thing about the DrawClass videos to me is that these are videos where we literally don't care at all about the metrics of them.
That's true.
They're just for the people that are in them and for the people that watch them later that might be able to like, you know, get some helpful info about this. But if like nobody watches them after the fact, it doesn't really matter. We're like not counting on them for ad rev. We're not counting on them for channel growth. These are the ones we do just for y'all. and just for the fun of doing them and like teaching, which is something I enjoy. Okay, we're probably almost done with this exercise. Little old lady driving a PT Cruiser.
PT Cruiser.
PT Cruiser.
Leaving. I'll stop saying PT Cruiser.
Thank you. Let's see, what else is chat saying? Dat Kotek is drawing buildings in the shapy lines that they like. I love to do that with like buildings and things, is to cartoonify the building and make them more like a character so that I enjoy drawing them. I don't like anything that's too like rigid or like draftsman-like. Cat Kane, you're drawing the Baba Yaga, but it's a Barbie dream house. That's just a great idea. That should just be like a full piece you do. So yeah, that one is for when you're feeling stagnant. Get something, find some reference of something new, plop it on your canvas, and then draw it in a way that you find fun. Draw it in a way you enjoy. Or as Javier said earlier, do the inverse. Find a subject you really like and then use that as a jumping off point to try a new style that you've never done before. As long as you got something rooted in familiarity, you're less likely to get freaked out by like how overwhelming the new stuff is. Let's move on to the third one, shall we? Put this stuff in a folder. Bring this back up. Ryan CG said, my art block has been in live figure drawing. I'm in that spot where my tastes have outpaced my skill, so everything just feels bad. I totally feel that. That's a rough one to get over, and I think that one literally happens to everyone. It happens to me still to this day.
Happens to me.
Happens to Julia. I don't think it ever stops either, unfortunately. Because there will always be a gap between the things you enjoy and the things you're able to create. I find it really helps me to just like take a step back and be like, what can I make right now that is like to the best of my ability? And how does it compare to what I was making in the past? Like what can I do now better than I used to could do? And I try to keep like other people's art out of my mind space unless it is like directly inspiring to me. When other people's art is inspiring, then that's when your taste can really help you out, because that can give you a lot of new directions to go in. It can be exciting and fun, as opposed to when like the other art and your tastes are debilitating because there's too big of a gap and you feel like you'll never reach it. But let's do the dang old, I forgot to erase the circle. You used to art more, so your old stuff was better. I get that. The nice thing about it though is that if you keep practicing, that won't last for long. You'll outpace your old stuff really quickly. It's kind of like, coming back to something you used to do. At first you'll be shaky, but you catch back up way faster than it took you to like learn it the first time, because that stuff's like still in your mind somewhere. So you'll catch up real quick to where you used to be, and then you'll surpass it as long as you keep going. And that's kind of a lot of what this class is about, is giving you ways to keep practicing and keep working even when this mental stuff like crops up and gets in your way, because all these exercises you can just do, and it requires very little mental expenditure to do them, and they will still be helping you to improve and to get some practice in, even if it's just a little bit. Let's go to the third art block reason here, which is feeling overwhelmed. And in this case, I mean it specifically in the sense of like you're looking at the work you have to do for like a piece, and you're seeing all the work you need to get done, and you're like, the fact that there's so much of it ahead of me is making me paralyzed. It's making me like not start, because I know all that I have to do, and I know that it's going to be difficult, and I'm going to run into problems, and I don't know if I'm going to be able to get there to the finish line. Anytime I've got like a big piece I need to do, or like a speed draw for Drawfee, this is probably one of my number one blocks, is like looking at the whole project and being like, this whole thing is like too much when I look at it, and it's making me so overwhelmed that I don't want to do anything at all. I've found, and I've actually been using this one regularly in my real life for a while now. It has helped me tremendously for this, is sort of what I call chunking your process. You just need to chunk that shit. Chunk your process. This is one we won't be able to do the whole of in this class because it requires multiple days. But essentially what I do now when I have a big project is I'll only allow myself to do one phase of the project in a given day. So instead of like starting a piece and being like, all right, let me just sit down for like 5 hours and just like work and see how much I can get done of like this whole thing, I'll be like, no, today I'm just doing the sketch. All I'm going to do today is get the sketch done. And that's all I have to do. If I get the sketch done, then I can stop. I don't have to do anything else. Doesn't matter how long it takes. I try to start this process far enough ahead of time that I got plenty of days to break things up. And if I go into it and suddenly I'm like, well, just a sketch, like, that's not so bad. Like, I can get a sketch done. Your brain like puts it into a different box. It's like, no longer is it this huge process. It's like, oh, it's just one little thing. It's just doing a sketch. Felicia said, this is how I convince myself to clean. Yeah, exactly the same thing. It's like, if you look at like everything in your apartment that's dirty, you're like, this is way too much. I'm not going to do anything. But if you're just like, what if I just picked up these dishes and cleaned them? That's just one thing. I could do one thing. And then if you do it, your brain gives you the success chemicals. It's like you just did one little thing, but your brain doesn't care. It still gives you the success chemicals because you succeeded. It totally moves the goalposts. So I'll give you just like a quick example of what I do. And this is, like I said, I do this for every Drawfee speed draw now. I do it over the course of like 4 or 5 days instead of in one long session. And I've found that for me, also doing it this way keeps me excited about the piece for each phase of the piece, instead of where I just start cutting corners and trying to finish it as quickly as possible. If I go into like day 3 and it's coloring day, then I'm like, I can really focus just on coloring. So for example, we'll say like day 1, and I'm just going to do like, I always just do the sketch. I'm like, day 1, I'm just doing the sketch. So we'll just do like a quick sketch here of like a character. And I'll just do a little like Jacob self-portrait. So this will be like a nice, quick and easy one to do. Sort of a little Animal Crossing Jacob here. And so regardless of how long this takes, this is like all I would do day 1. Sometimes I can get the sketch done like really fast, and then I'm like, okay, great, I'm done for today. Other times it like, takes me a few hours to get the sketch done because it's more complicated. But it's like, I know in my mind the whole time that it's like all I have to do. And so it keeps me motivated much easier the entire time. I don't have to go from there and like finish the rest of the piece, and then I'm getting in my head and I'm getting overwhelmed. So we'll just do this. Little hands on my hips, like I did it. I'm drawing my piece. And it's no problem because all I have to do today is sketch. And so I'm feeling good about it. Maybe I'm wearing little shorts for some reason. It's winter right now, but I can like pretend for a time that it's not winter. And I got my little shorts on. And I got my little nose ring. And I'm like, yes, I'm feeling confident. So day one, that's all I'll do. And then I come back day two. Another benefit of this, you get fresh eyes on it multiple times throughout the process of the piece. So like day two, I might come back and immediately see some stuff in the sketch that I missed before, where I'm like, oh, it's really apparent to me that this like proportion was off, or like this looks a little funny and I couldn't see it yesterday because I was too like in the weeds. And so getting fresh eyes is always helpful. So day two, we come back. And I'm like, all right, today I'm inking. And all I'm doing today is inking. And inking I find very relaxing, so I'm always excited for day two. So we'll get the brush out here. We'll give it like a quick inkaroonie. And I'm just going to go through this nice and quick so we're not taking up too much time on this. Yeah, inking still remains my favorite part of the artistic process by a large margin. I find it so relaxing and satisfying. Cat Kane, inking is your favorite part as well? We are the same. It's brain off time for me where I can just vibe and shape lines. That's exactly it. And it feels like there's like so much room for like little bits of creativity in the inking. And it makes like a pretty large, I mean, for me at least, it makes a large difference in how my project turns out, like how I decide to ink it. Like I've been messing lately with using this soft core paintbrush and doing it like really thick on the big lines. Kind of similar to like how I used to ink, where it ends up with like a super clean look because I go back in and I carve out nicer lines with my eraser. And so I use that for like the really big parts, and then like I shrink it way down and I go back in for all of the detail work. And I get to do one of my favorite things, which is make all these nice little points with my eraser. Makes it look very clean. But the fact that the brush like is kind of soft around the edges really makes the thicker lines and thinner lines look really different. And you get some variation in like softness and hardness as you like erase out. I just think it's nice. Get the smile. Zappy said inking is only a struggle when my sketch isn't specific enough and then it becomes sketch part 2. Yes, exactly. I actually, for that reason, spend more time on my sketch intentionally because I want to have like 99% of the choices made at that point. I really don't like cleaning up my sketch in the inking phase. I find it really irritating, and it like ruins the whole the whole inking fun for me if it's not like pretty locked in at that point. It used to be a thing back at college, Schumer, that would get me in some trouble because, well, first of all, I just was slower then than I am now. Like I gained a lot of speed from working there by necessity. But it was a issue I ran into where I was taking too long because I would spend so long in the sketching phase of my comics, trying to like make everything look nice in that phase to save myself trouble down the line. But then, you know, deadlines would be coming up and I'd be like, I spent so long like sketching and conceptualizing this that now I have very little time for everything else. But now, thankfully, I don't have the same type of deadlines. And I can take my time on it a little bit more if I plan my schedule correctly. This is looking nice. Felicia said, I want to be good at inking so bad, but I have a painterly style, so I kind of just put down colors on top of the sketch and smudge it all up. Clean lines are hard. Yeah, I get that. I mean, well, I think whichever style you're good at, you want to be good at the other style. Because I'm the exact same way, but I want to be good at the painterly style. And it doesn't like register with me. It doesn't vibe with me. But I always see it, and I'm like, I wish I could do that. And then painterly people see like good inks and they're like, I wish I could do that. The point is, you can never truly be happy. I think that's really what I'm getting at here. Just want to make this eyeball line up a little bit better. Cool. So this would be like day 2 for me. I would just do the inking and I would be like, okay, ink's done. And then I, you know, go immediately to sleep as soon as I'm done working. And then I come back for day 3. And we can take the sketch out of here. Day 3, I would just do probably like, sometimes I finish it on day 3. It depends on how I'm feeling. But at a bare minimum, I would do like flats and basic shading for day 3, typically. But it all depends on if my work has like a background too. I usually spend a day just on background if I have a background. But since this piece doesn't have a background, I'm just gonna we'll do some colors for this one. And we'll just lay in some, well, we'll probably wanna do it in a way that makes sense. Oh, actually, what I would love to do I like to put in like a little bit of a base layer sometimes. Little base layer action. It just helps to make sure there's no like, because these lines are soft, it helps to make sure there's no anti-aliasing between the lines and the colors. We can just delete out the bits we don't want. Easy peasy. And we'll just move through this quickly. Get some flats in there. I swear to God, I'm going to do the right settings eventually. It simply must happen. So we'll get it like that, and then we'll get the brown on the hair, and then we'll get the whites in the eyes. Maybe we do a little bit of Like a subtle variation in the nose. Do a little tumbler nosing for fun. Why not? And then I'll be wearing my, we'll do some gray shorts and maybe like a red shirt. And so at this point, when I'm working on a big piece, I'm like usually actually having fun coloring, which oftentimes I will not be doing if I don't do it this way. I find I don't enjoy coloring that much, probably because I'm colorblind. It's can be very difficult for me. But when I give it its own day, it helps me a lot. Ryan asks, is this generally how the whole team chunks out their pieces? My headcanon is that Julia becomes so focused that she forgets to eat until it's done, and that Karina and Nathan like having deadline urgency. You are correct on all of those counts. Julia just works straight through until it's done, typically. Nathan always does it last minute, and Karina often does it last minute unless it's like a really big project, like her like building like Sunny, like the sculpture of Sunny. That one was like a multi-day affair, so she's pretty good at like planning it out ahead if it's a big project like that. And I used to be a last minute guy as well, but I found that this works much better for me. So we'll say for day 3, like maybe that's all I did. Maybe I would also do like a little multiply layer. Get some just like basic shadows in there. Just sort of like ambient occlusion shadows in like the places where light likely wouldn't reach. Get some little hair shadows. Add a little depth to some of this stuff. A little bit on the nosy. Underneath the collar here. Maybe like in some of the armpit zones. Bottom of the shirt. Just do a little quick and dirty one underneath the shorts. Bottom of the shoes. Probably like here as well. So then like maybe I come back again for day 4. And I'm like, now I want to add like my final touches, my like lighting effects and everything like that. So maybe I come in with like another multiply layer and I'm like, oh, maybe I want to make it like sort of a dark scene, a darker scene. And we do like a big multiply layer over the top, make it darker. Maybe he's in like a cave or something. And then I could go in with like maybe there's like a green sort of glow from behind. Do some rim lighting. You know I love rim lighting. And this is just like an add glow layer that I put on. Sometimes I do add glow, sometimes I do hard light. It kind of depends on what I think looks better at the time. And I usually cheat rim lighting to just make it look however I want, even if it wouldn't make sense. If I want to like highlight facial features, I'll rim light it even though the light wouldn't touch it. And no one can stop you from doing that. That's like the thing. Like the light wouldn't really be hitting this part of the shirt, but I'm doing it anyways. And then maybe I'd be like, let's get like a soft brush and we can like add some even more sort of the glowing effects here to really sort of make it pop. Add a little more depth to the face and the figure. So this is all stuff, and like, again, when I do this on like the last day or on its own day, I really like feel excited about like figuring all this stuff out. I don't feel like rushed and anxious and upset like I sometimes do if I leave it. Maybe I would even add like another multiply layer. Or maybe I would even like do like a soft eraser. Oh yeah, I kind of like that. And we just like erase out some of this side. Give it like a little bit of depth. So yeah. Let's see. Kat Kane said, I found breaking up the art over a period of days helps me come back with fresh eyes and spot things I want to fix that I missed during earlier phases. Yeah, that exactly is what happens to me as well. I find that I'll come back and it's like so obvious to me what needs to be changed. Whereas if I did it all in one day, I wouldn't notice that stuff until like I came back to the finished piece and wished that I had changed things. And Felicia said, do you set rules for yourself to not go back and futz with the previous day's work? No, I absolutely futz. I go back and futz. And it's because of those fresh eyes. I come back with the fresh eyes and I futz. Where did my other glow go? Oh, did I switch this to multiply? There it is. I futz with the things that I noticed that I wouldn't have noticed before. I think that's one of the benefits of this system. Now draw the background of the cave that he's in. No, you don't really need to, you don't need me to do that. You don't need me to do that here right now. We don't need to get into all of that. I don't think. Just trust me, I could do it. I could do it. Cheerful villager Jacob stuck in a dark cave. Maybe he's not stuck in a dark cave. Maybe he wants to be in the dark cave and he's happy to be there. Okay, maybe he likes it in the cave and he's like, this is my cave and I like to be here. This is where I'm going to stay. But you get the gist of chunking your process. And once again, this is to you go in the folder as well. This is to help you when you're feeling overwhelmed. If it seems like it's all too much, you're feeling overwhelmed, chunk your process up into pieces. You're going to be feeling like it's a lot more manageable all of a sudden because all you got to do is one thing instead of a bunch of things. And doing one thing is way easier than doing a bunch of things. Everyone agrees. Okay, let's go to the next one here, which is burnout. Who up? Burning out. Burnout. And this is a huge one and a very difficult one to overcome because oftentimes when you burn out real bad, like you just have to step away for a while. But then once you've stepped away for a while, it can be really hard to step back in again. Even once you feel like, you know, I would like to start doing it again, it can be really hard to like actually begin. It becomes like sort of a revulsion to the thing that burnt you out. Like, you know, when you eat too many of like one type of potato chip and then you like go crazy and you eat like a million of them and you get sick. And then your body's like, you don't ever want to eat that potato chip again. That's what happens with drawing as well. And so it's a tough one to come back from. For this one, actually, I stumbled across something online that I thought seemed like a really good way to handle this. Let me pull it up real quick. This is from an artist called Sophie Yano. I don't know if that's how you pronounce her last name. I'm going to pull this down here so you can see it. and we're going to zoom in a bit here. But I found this article from Sophie Yano called "A Gentle Comics Habit," and it's literally about this exact thing. It is about coming back from burnout, or from like finishing like a big project and you haven't drawn in a while and you want to get back into it. This is like a really good way to start doing it. And I recommend reading this article. It's really good. But the gist of it is this. Here in the rules. Step 1, spend 1 minute drawing and writing the first comic. So you set a timer for 1 minute. You make a comic in that minute. Step 2, try to draw a comic every day. It's okay to miss a day, but don't miss 2 days in a row. So it leaves you a little bit of room for error, but if you fall off for 2 days in a row, you're likely to continue falling off. So you make an attempt to do it every day. And then each day you spend an additional minute on the comic. And then every comic you post them online. You can do this part or not, depending on like what your goals are. But the main part is you start off day 1. You're like, I'm going to draw a comic in 1 minute. That's like something basically anyone can do. It is like the tiniest amount of time investment possible. And it would be so easy and so fast. It's almost harder to not do it, which is a really good place to start if you're trying to like rebuild a habit like this. And then day 2, you come back, you're making a comic in 2 minutes. Again, incredibly easy. And the way it ramps up slowly, 1 minute every day, will get you back into the habit of making things and like spending longer on drawing, and kind of like trick yourself into rebuilding a habit from the ground up. And like I said, this is a really great read. Highly recommend checking it out. And I think something like this is a really good way to recover from being burned out. Because it eases you in so much, it kind of overcomes your hesitancy to start because you know it's going to be done so quickly. And I don't think it has to be a comic either. You could just be like, I'm just going to do a drawing for this amount of time or whatever. So it would be, super simple to start on day 1 of being like, I'd like to rebuild this habit. I'm going to make a comic in 1 minute. So I'm going to set a timer for 1 minute, and I'm going to make a comic. And the timer started. Go, make your comic. "45 seconds. Oh no, my eraser was wrong. 30 seconds. "14 seconds. Time. So there we go. 1 minute. And look at what we've created. We've made Denim Dan. And imagine like all the places we can go from here, And so like if I had not been drawing for a while and I sat down just now and I drew Denim Dan and it took me literally 1 minute, I think I would feel pretty good about that. And I'd be like, this is so easy. I don't even have to draw anymore today. I'm done. One of the crucial parts of it too, if you read the article, is that you also don't want to go over the time. Like even if you're having fun, don't go over the time. Like stop at the time limit and then don't do any more. That's it. Because you don't want to like get too big for your britches, unlike Denim Dan, who is too small for his britches. You don't want to get too big for your britches and then like reburn yourself out quickly. You need to like really kind of slowly walk your way back in. So let's move Denim Dan over here. And then I'm going to do, we'll go ahead and do like a couple more like days of of this practice, obviously you would separate them into days, but this is just like for the sake of example and to show you that it's like, you know, easy and fun. So day 2, we're going to do a 2-minute comic. I'm seeing Dat Kotek said I drew a man saying, wow, this is nothing. I'm expecting your day 2 comic to elaborate on the character of wow, this is nothing man. So let's continue his story, and I'll continue Denim Dan's story as well. So 2-minute timer, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go. I'm going to introduce a second character, I think. He's got little legs, but don't let that fool you. He's got a big heart. Of course, we got Denim Dan back. We got 1 minute and 10 seconds left. $50 seconds left. I'm not even going to need the 2 minutes. Who needs 2 minutes when you can make a comic in 1 minute and 15 seconds? Maybe I can use this time to add some more details here. Maybe he's got a box on his shirt. 25 seconds left. Denim Dan needs ears. I almost forgot his ears. That's going to be crucial. I'll use this time to go back and erase out this line in day 1. It's probably not what you would do if you were actually doing this. 2, 1, 0. So there you go. Now we got in 3 minutes, we've got 2 comics created. We have created things. We've got Denim Dan, and we've got the fact that Denim Dan is incredibly sensitive about being told that his pants are too big. Or probably any comment on his pants whatsoever. And, you know, we're already building character here. And most importantly, you're having, like, fun making art in, like, bite-sized quantities that's not going to sort of reach the point where you re-trigger your burnout. Like Ryan CG said, you mentioned Atomic Habits, which is a book that is also referenced in this article. But you said the author advises that you force yourself to stop before you get tired of it, so you're hankering to start again rather than dreading going back to the mines. That's exactly right. Because like if you're having fun with it, when you stop and you stay stopped, you're going to keep that mindset of like, I was having fun with that. Instead of being like, I'm dreading doing it tomorrow, you're like, well, I had fun yesterday and I'm going to have fun again today. That's the new mindset you have. Maybe Denim Dan was going to kill him anyway. It's possible. We don't know. We don't know yet. I think we'll do one more day just for fun. One more Denim day of Denim Dan. Let's move these up here so we can remember the story so far. This is going to be a 3-minute comic. So prepare yourself accordingly. Denim Dan Part 3. In 3, 2, 1, go. I don't have my brush out. There we go. I already lost 5 seconds. Get Denim Dan in here. We're gonna maybe explore like a new facet of his feelings. We're gonna add some complication into Denim Dan's character here. And we have so much time. Like 3 minutes feels like a luxury at this point. I feel like I don't even have to rush. Imagine when I got up to like 5 minutes, what I could do. This is huge. This is huge for Denim Dan. This is a real awakening moment. This is where you know, you get challenged. You got to experience some things that challenge your worldview in order to grow as a character. Oh my god, he's so cool, man. We got about a minute left. Can you imagine what Denim Dan must be thinking at this juncture? Like this is challenging everything he's known. Like he's made his whole identity around his denim, his big denim. And to see someone so cool, I don't need the last 30 seconds. I'm done. I can stop early. I can go to bed early. I guess I can add like the little oh, Denim Dan's ears. I can't forget the ears. And the little shadows on the ground. We got to ground our characters in reality here. And this is day 3. That's it. That's 3 minutes. Shirt Susan? It could be. It could be Shirt Susan. We don't know. Add this to characters that look like Julia. This doesn't look like Julia. I mean, I guess it kind of does in a way. It doesn't not look like Julia. I'll give you that. We'll try to make these a little bigger here, but the Denim Dan series coming to Webtoon. It's going to be the most popular series of comics on Webtoon. And the fun thing about this, like obviously if you do this practice, you could do it with just like drawing whatever you want each day. You could do it with like a comic each day that's its own thing. But with something like this, where it's like building a narrative out of nothing that is stupid, like it immediately gets my brain gears turning. It like activates my creativity. Because I can already tell you day 4 would just be Denim Dan staring at himself in the mirror silently. That would be all of day 4. And then when I drew that, who knows what it would inspire for day 5. So, you know, highly recommend this. This was, let me actually put the name. I'll write it on here. If you want to look this up for yourself. And if you're experiencing art burnout, hey, why not give this a try? See, you know, see how far you can get. And who knows what it will inspire within you too. Maybe it will like in doing this inspire you to want to like it'll give you ideas for like an actual project you want to do. Who can say? I mean, maybe Denim Dan will become like the best-selling new, you know, children's books of all time. He's going to be the new Captain Underpants. And it's all going to be like the lessons Denim Dan learns as he goes through life. I'm going to show these comics to my son when he's born and say, this is, are you learning? Are you learning something from this? This is important stuff. Okay. Anyways, let's put all of this in a folder. What's here? Put that in there. Put this one was supposed to be in here. And we've only got one more here on my list of art block reasons, which is boredom. And in this case, I'm considering boredom just like you're going through the motions of drawing and creating, and you're just not like having any fun or like doing anything different, and you just feel like you're slogging through it for the sake of doing it, but it's not like, it's not lighting up your cerebral cortex like it used to. And my exercise that I have for this is what I like to call the process mix up. And this is just to break you out of your mindset, to break you out of your old pathways. Take whatever your process is that you typically do, just do it all out of order. For me, I always do a sketch, then I do inks, then I do flats, then I do shading and effects. If I'm feeling like stuck in a rut, like stuck in my ways, something I like to do is just start where instead of sketching, maybe I just go straight into like I get like a brush with I mean, let me find a brush here. We get like a paintbrush. What's a good brush for this? Not that one. Maybe I do it instead where I'm doing like big shapes instead of sketching. So instead of sketching, I'm just gonna do like stuff like this and just be like, what now? Like what could this be? Could have like an arm. It's just sort of a guy who's like falling. Something that makes you like focus on like silhouette instead of sketch. And sort of just like free form it, you know. Anything that is different from how you do it and something that's gonna get your mind out of its like normal pathways is sort of what the goal is here. So maybe it's like, you know, we got like this guy who's like He-Manning over here. Maybe I do like a big circle and get like this kind of little guy. Julia, you missed my incredible series of Denim Dan cartoons.
Denim Dan?
Yeah. You're going to be pretty psyched, I think, when you see him.
Okay, when do I get to see them?
You can see him at the end of this, because this is my last thing in the class I'm going over.
Okay.
And then I'll show him to you.
Okay. I look forward to it.
So then I'm like starting from a totally different place than I usually do. I'm not like sketching, I'm like chunking in. Or maybe you just go straight in with like some colors. Where you could like find a color palette to work from and just, you know, be like, what if I just make like this is like some skin tone? Doesn't even have to be colors that make any sense. And we do like some big shapes like this for some hair, maybe. That's kind of fun. And then you can start color picking, blending things in. And you'll start to like see stuff in whatever you're doing that's like, you're like, oh, it's like, it looks like my work, but it's kind of just like different. It's not, it's something I wouldn't normally do. And I feel like it's making me see, you know, other possibilities. And you can really get lost in just like messing around with this, but it like, to me at least, reminds me of like the sort of freedom in just like futzing. Like you don't have to go down the same pathways you always go down. You can just like put stuff down there and just like see what happens. And then suddenly you're kind of like I am right now, you're feeling like actually sort of involved in this process of just like messing around. And you know, it doesn't even matter like what it looks like per se. But now we're in more of like a painterly headspace. And if you're more of a painterly person, you know, try making yourself do some line art first. Try starting with that. And then like, you know, once you're kind of like in the flow, once you're having fun, you can also feel free to like revert back to your normal process to like finish off the piece, to like, if you like what you got going. Let's see if we can't add some eyeball. Maybe even a little darker for the pupil. Maybe we go even darker with some of the shading. And some of these parts. Like, who's gonna tell me no? You? I don't even know you. You know, worst case scenario, maybe it all just like sort of comes to nothing and you don't come up with anything you like, but at the very least, you pushed yourself a little bit out of your boundaries. And that's like part of the whole reason we do it. You don't grow at all if you don't push yourself outside of your boundaries a little bit. So yeah, this is like, you know, a whole bunch of nothing, but it's fun to do. It's fun to do, and it gives you like the freedom to just like mess around and have fun. Which, if you get too precious about things, you can really get stuck not having any fun. Oh my God, it's gonna be York. No way, it's him, it's him. They said it couldn't be done. They said you'll never draw York. Time to prove the haters wrong. But yeah, you get the gist of what I'm going for here. I think doing this kind of thing will break you out of that boredom space. It'll put you in more of like a free flow and brain space where you can start to break out of your comfort zone a bit. Anyways, I think that is pretty much it for the stuff I got in this class. I hope this stuff was helpful to you. If you have any like questions or anything, this would be a time to put those in here. And I'll try to answer any questions you have about any of this stuff. But mostly the goal is just to keep you drawing, to keep you having fun drawing, so you can sort of make the progress you want to make and not get stuck and feel like you're learning all the while. Kind of like this York, actually. It's got kind of an energy to it. A dirty little energy. Dat Kotek said at the very least it got me to break out my tablet for the first time in half a year in doodling. That's the goal. That's the goal. Happy to hear that. That's what we're hoping for. Finn, this has been super helpful for you. That's great. That's great. Kat Kane said this was awesome, Jacob. Thank you. When you're doing practice or exercise, do you find it more beneficial to have distractions like music or videos, or do you totally lock in? No, I almost always have some sort of distraction going on. It's another thing that's useful for me, helps me to not get in my head about starting on something if I've got like a video going or some music or something. And then I can like still lock in, but for getting started, it's way helpful to have a distraction for me. Well, I think that is it. We're done a little bit early, but that's okay. Thank you all so much for subscribing at the learner tier. Really appreciate all of your support. And I think that's everything. Trying to think if there's any like news or anything I need to tell you about. I don't think so. You know where to watch all our other stuff. If you're in here, you know what's going on. But that's going to be it. Thanks, everybody. Have a good rest of your day. Have a good weekend. And we'll see you next time. Goodbye.